Okay, so today we're going to talk about setting. Setting is an important part of any story. When we think about setting, we usually think about the time and the place. So, usually, the good news is that with the setting, we usually find out what the setting is pretty early on in the story. You don't have to read very far to see what it is. And in this story, Ernest Hemingway's Hills Like White Elephants, it's a short story, we see this setting described in the first sentence. So let's take a look at it. The first paragraph. The hills across the valley of the Ebro were long and white. On this side there was no shade and no trees, and the station was between two lines of rails in the sun. Close against the side of the station there was the warm shadow of the building, and a curtain made of strings of bamboo beads hung across the open door into the bar to keep out flies. Okay, so that's pretty much the setting right there. So we're in a valley, okay, which means it's a big open area. There's no shades, no trees. We're in the sun. Already we know that it's outside and it's a pretty hot day. Why is this important? Who cares if it's a hot day or not? Well, it's important to the story. So let me just read on a little bit and show you. Okay, so the American and the girl with sat at a table in the shade outside the building. It was very hot. It was very hot. So when people are hot, how do they usually feel? They usually feel hot. Yeah, I know. They usually feel uncomfortable. And think about that. So I'm writing that in the margin because that's going to help me later in the story. Uncomfortable is going to be setting the tone for the rest of the story, and we'll see why when we look at the dialogue. What should we drink? The girl asked. She had taken off her hat and put it on the table. It's pretty hot, the man said. So this is the second time we've seen a reference to how hot it is. It's pretty hot, the man said. Let's drink beer. Dos cervezas, the man said into the curtain. Big ones, the woman asked from the doorway. Yes, two big ones. So 2 big glasses of beer. The woman brought the 2 glasses of beer and 2 felt pads. She put the felt pads and the beer glasses on the table and looked at the man and the girl. The girl was looking off at the line of hills. They were white in the sun, and the country was brown and dry. They look like white elephants, she said. I've never seen one. The man drank his beer. No, you wouldn't have. I might have, the man said. Just because you say I wouldn't have doesn't prove anything. Well, look at this little bit of dialogue right here. How would you feel if you were part of that conversation? If you were the man, you'd feel, I don't know, pretty, I guess, kind of embarrassed, right? She just kind of cut you right down. Like, yeah, no, you wouldn't have. If you were the girl, you might be thinking, how do I feel about this guy? This guy's kind of a jerk, and I don't even care if he's seen a white elephant or not, because he's an idiot who's never seen a white elephant. I mean, that's pretty extreme, but that sounds kind of like what she's saying. So here we already see the relationship between the two people, which now we're getting into characterization, but add that to how uncomfortable the setting is, and we already know how this story is going to go before we even read any more. So that's the important thing about setting, and I hope that this helps you understand setting next time you read a story.